If you break a rule at work, you'll likely get called into the boss's office for a one-on-one discussion.
But when a police officer is accused of breaking a rule, the community also needs to be part of that conversation.
Yeah, 16 News Now investigative reporter Carly Luca is digging deeper into how police agencies here in St. Joe County conduct internal reviews. She joins us now here in the studio to explain. Carly?
Yeah, well, police accountability is something you hear investigative reporters talking about a lot. But in order for the police to answer to the public, they first need to conduct internal reviews to answer to themselves. These reviews happen when an officer is accused of misconduct or in the most crucial of circumstances, when there's been an officer-involved shooting. So how do we ensure these reviews are done objectively when police are policing themselves? I sat down with South Bend Police Chief Scott Ruskowski to talk about why transparency matters, both for officers and the community.
Why not put that out there? Let people see it.
Trust and transparency between law enforcement agencies and the people they serve is vital to community stability, officer safety, and effective policing. That's according to the International Association of Chiefs of Police, but it's also something expected by law enforcement leaders on the local, state, and federal level.
That's one of the overall themes that our nation has said, that they expect the accountability and the transparency from police departments.
Those concepts especially matter when police are investigating complaints or allegations against their own.
The public does have a right to know, and our officers have a right to be exonerated if that's the case, or held accountable if that's the case.
When asking police departments in St. Joseph County for their policies, 16 News Now Investigates focused on investigations into officer-involved shootings as well as alleged officer misconduct. The South Bend Police Department, Mishawaka Police Department, and St. Joseph County Police Department have a memorandum of understanding to investigate officer-involved shootings so that a department would not be investigating its own officers in incidents where they have discharged their firearms in the line of duty. But when it comes to alleged officer misconduct, each department's reviews are done independently. For South Bend Police, officer misconduct is when an officer or employee commits either a criminal act, neglect of duty, or a violation of a policy or rule. The review process for misconduct begins when the department receives a complaint. Complaints are then sent to the Office of Professional Standards for review. The severity and type of complaint determines what happens next.
There still is a line between a criminal matter, which police could be charged with criminal things at times, and policy matters, training matters, things of that nature. So there is a fine line, but it's made with a broad brush.
South Bend Police Chief Scott Ruskowski tells us their internal investigations into alleged misconduct are in depth.
We actually go out, we look for other witnesses, we do follow-ups, we let them know how the case was resolved, if it was resolved, and if not, why it hasn't been. This is what the community, they pay for us to do these things, and they do have a right to know exactly what goes on.
Once the internal investigation is completed, the chief makes a recommendation for progressive discipline.
This is about corrective action, things we can take to keep the officer from losing his or her job and to maintain our standards, our reputation with the community.
That corrective action can range from training, change of assignment, verbal or written reprimand, suspension, demotion, or termination. Disciplinary recommendations from a letter of reprimand through termination must also be reviewed by the Board of Public Safety. For South Bend's Chief of Police, these internal reviews are part of the job description.
It's obviously a service to our community. That's what we do for a living, and we want to hold ourselves accountable for that. And just as important, if not more important, is an officer's career is on the line. So you can't make mistakes when it comes to issues that are complained on.
St. Joseph County Police also take community complaints seriously. Once a complaint is recorded, it is referred to a supervisor, the legal advisor, or for an internal investigation. Their policies say when someone is making a complaint, it will be properly and judiciously acted upon. And violations of policy are separate investigations from violations of criminal law. That's why policy investigations are done within the department, but Indiana State Police are contacted to investigate a suspected criminal law violation. And for Mishawaka Police, community complaints are reviewed by the supervisor of the officer who is the subject of the complaint. The findings of the investigation are then submitted to the assistant chief of that division before heading to the chief of police. When the officer is found in violation of a policy or procedure, discipline is handed down based on an administrative review of the violations. This discipline can range from documented verbal reprimand, written reprimand, unpaid suspension, and termination. Though each department polices itself in some ways, the methodology and transparency surrounding the reviews differ, and you can't please everyone.
Do you feel like having this level of transparency that you guys have been working towards under your leadership has improved your relationship with the community or increased the trust level?
Yeah, absolutely. But is it 100%? No, nothing in police work will ever be 100%. No matter what we do, how open, how transparent, how honest we are, there will always be people who either want more or will never believe us. And that's just a given. It's sad, but that's a reality.
But he's still proud of their work, which is just another reason why the South Bend Police website includes a transparency hub that includes a guide to the complaints investigation process, data on how many community complaints are reviewed, and what the outcome was.
We need to be proud of the things that we do, and most departments do not do that. Most departments are very secretive with things, and they shouldn't be.
At the end of the day, police need to be able to look within their departments in order to ensure they are offering the best possible service, much like businesses in the private sector.
You know, a lot of people say that we shouldn't be policing ourselves, we shouldn't be doing that, but there's every single career you could possibly think of comes with somebody who's an expert in that career. We are no different.
Gets ramped up. There's going to be a second layer of investigating the officers.
Absolutely. Here in South Bend, there are so many eyes on this review, according to Chief Ruskowski, and he really thinks that's important, not just for the community, but also so that the officers, feel vindicated if there are accusations, and keeping the community in the loop is a huge part of that.
And Carly, I like that you mentioned that because, as the chief said, for a lot of officers, their jobs are on the line here. So
Absolutely.
It's nice to see both.
Yep.
Thank you for that.
Thank you, and we do have more details on these internal investigation policies for all of the local police departments here in St. Joseph County. You can find that at WNDU.com with this story.
All right. Great work as usual. Thank you.
Thanks.
We'll be right back.